If you get to the point where all you want to do is be successful, as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I'm here to tell you, number one, that most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it bad and then you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you gotta be willing to give up sleep.
Peace, blessings. Happy Tuesday. Good to be with you guys once again. I hope all is well with everyone today. I hope so far the week has been good to you. Just never as easy and as lighthearted as we would like it to be every day, but we are still here, and that should count for something. Welcome to another edition of Assembly of Excellence. Shout out to everybody who's been rocking with us from the beginning up until now. Salutes to my writers, my poets, my artists. I know I've been slacking on my shout outs, but I promise I'm going to get back to them here soon, very soon. Mr. Matthews, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking. Really excited about this podcast. I love this topic. The idea of um, how to really unlock your the hidden potential that's within all of us.
Yeah, man. If y'all don't know anything or get anything from these conversations, take thing. When we get in front of these microphones and we have these discussions, the goal and the mission is to bring some sense of peace, some sense of guidance and reassurance. A lot of us are in places in our life where all we need is just some words of encouragement, or we need to be surrounded by folks that are going to kind of guide us or just give us some direction, not necessarily trying to indoctrinate you, but to encourage you and lift you up. So tonight is no different, and I'm excited. I've been waiting on this one for a few days now, and yeah, unlocking hidden potential. That's what we talking about tonight. How do we do this? Where do we start?
I think the best place to start really
Where
is
is it
to
lacking?
understand what
What do
what
you
it
have
means
inside?
by hidden potential. Like what what are we talking about when we talk about hidden potential? Like by I think we can start there and really just identify what it is that we mean by that, and then we can dive even deeper than just a general discussion.
I say for me, or when I think about it, or I put it on the table, it is a gift and or talent, something that you're good at that you may have never focused solely on as something that could be a highly lucrative piece of who you are as a person. I think that all of us have some sense of self in terms of what we like to do as a hobby. Maybe you sing, maybe you dance, maybe you write really good. But what I notice is a lot of us are pretty good at certain things. Our strengths might be different from others, but we don't really necessarily always look at them like they might bring us happiness or a sense of self worth. We kind of just brush it off to the side. So, or maybe it's neither, or maybe it's just something that you didn't even know you were good at, but you actually are pretty good at it, and you just never put much focus on it.
I think when I think about untapped or hidden potential, what really comes to mind for me is the thing that there's an urge within you to express, but for whatever reason you've ignored it, or you haven't done everything you can to focus in on it, as you said, make it something that can be prosperous, or that can be beneficial to yourself and to others. And honestly, I think a big part of that, whether you're looking at it as being something that you either haven't focused on, or something that you are ignoring, something that you just aren't making a focus in your life. I think the biggest reason for this is fear. I think there's a huge amount of fear that goes into being rejected. And am I going to be accepted for what I do? How different am I if I express this? How am I going to be um how am I going to be received? I think this happens a lot more with people who have a rough life, and they know there's something that's in them that is really valuable. But when you get told often or over and over that you're not good enough, or that no matter what you do, it doesn't really matter because no one's going to care. Eventually, you might begin to believe that, and that becomes the biggest shame, because there's there isn't anything that anybody can say that is true for you. Everything is just a suggestion. If I say something to you, Melvin, regardless of what kind of opinion I might have, that's just a suggestion. It only becomes a reality when you choose it to be a reality. And when people are in the state of questioning whether they should really focus on this God-given talent that they have, this amazing ability that they might have, whatever it might be, whether it's physical, emotional, creative, analytical, it doesn't matter. If they are going to shy away from it, and they actually, if they believe the suggestions, the negative suggestions other people have of them, it's going to affect how they see themselves, how they see their ability to contribute to others, and their ability, their belief in how safe they're going to be if they do take that risk.
It always seemed to come back to whether or not another person highlights whether or not you're good at it or you're going to succeed or excel at it. Everything has to be on the forefront of someone's approval. And you could have been doing this majority of your childhood. Maybe you took a break from it and you just ventured off into other areas and you wanted to explore other opportunities and you kind of just realized that that wasn't for you. I like what you said though about fear. Fear does have a huge part in hindering people from really doing things that they want because it's like I don't know if we just got it in our head that if someone just doesn't like what we're doing, that we're no good at it, and we're just waiting for someone to say, "Okay, we like what you're doing." But then, a lot of the time, the truth be told, you're going to get a lot of people that's just not going to gravitate towards what you're doing versus the other way around. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Some people are going to be with you, and some people aren't, and that's just how it is. The way that I deliver my messages might not be the same way another person will receive it. Everybody is just set up different. So I think we're too focused on trying to appease everyone instead of ourselves. And because of that, you kind of just not lender, you limit yourself to how much investment you put in your own stock. So what you'll do is you'll kind of dance along and procrastinate and dib and dab in other different things and then circle back to it later on and here and there. You don't really hone your gift. You're not patient with yourself enough. You don't take the certain measures to really craft what you do. And you spend too much time worrying about if a person is going to just like it. So you just do other things. So if I fail at this, at least I can run over here to do something else. I can do this. And I can do that. I won't feel the sting as much if I just say, well, I didn't put much effort into it anyway. So if a person really don't favor it, then it's not like I actually tried. I think trying and really eh, imagine putting your 100% into it, and then someone saying, this isn't it. That's that's so crushing to a lot of people ego. And I think before a person feels that type of humbling, they would rather make an excuse not to even try it anyway.
I think there's a big part of it that has to do with human conditioning, and this is something that we can't escape, nor would we want to if we could, because the human condition, one of the biggest parts of it is building community. Because let's face it, we are soft, squishy beings, and we're very vulnerable when we are on our own. The greatest asset that human beings have is their ability to live in large numbers, and that has been the single biggest asset of humankind, is their ability to work in large numbers. The pack mentality for human beings, the tribal mentality, is essential for survival. And that mentality, if we didn't have that, if we didn't have the mentality, if we didn't need it, then it wouldn't matter what we thought about what other people thought, because we would just do what we would do, and it wouldn't really matter. But because we know that survival depends on the the inter uh, the relationship between us and other people, the connection that we have with others is going to the interpersonal connection we have with others, and the intrapersonal connection we have with our culture at large, really is what really defines our ability to make things happen. And because of that, we want to make sure that we are approved of, we are accepted. Because if we aren't accepted, then we're rejected. Rejection, um, it goes back to when we didn't have the technologies that we do, and we relied more on each other than normal, or than we do right now. Reliance on each other was absolutely essential. If you were rejected, you were cast out of the tribe, and that was death, because the likelihood of a person surviving on their own was very slim. So that communal aspect still stays with us, and it's a really clever trick that was played on humankind, because we cannot survive. Well, we can survive, but we cannot thrive on our own. We require the trust and the connection with others in order to truly feel like we thrive. And without that, we're very limited in what we can do. Even with today's technology and everything we have at our disposal, we require that interaction with other people. So that acceptance is huge. The the issue is, however, that it's not so much of the acceptance that is the problem. It is the illusion, or the fear, the irrational fear of not being accepted, simply because what you're doing is different.
I was just going to ask you if technology played any role in a person embracing their gift or trying to tap into it, uh, because it all goes back to human interaction, whether or not you have a device in front of you or not. Without the vessel on the other end of the lens, none of this really matters or makes sense at all. You're just talking to a robot, a computer generated object that is just designed to do one thing, and it's its job. It doesn't have emotion. It can't clap for you. It can, but you don't get the same sensation or the sense or the feeling of togetherness or communion through a computer. Which now it takes me to this point. You have all of this gift and all of this raw talent in you, and you're trying to figure out what to do with it, but you don't know where to begin. You don't know how to start. You're not really confident in it. You're not really sure if it's something that you should be doing. How do you operate? How do you move next? Well, first and foremost, if I'm speaking from just a impartial place, one thing that I've realized is that you cannot worry or put a limitation on your imagination. You cannot be afraid to be different. You cannot fear being the oddball standing out. You cannot worry about whether or not you sink or swim. You just have to do it. And when you're doing it, you have to keep in mind constantly that you're doing it because you enjoy it, because you love what you're doing. And I think the problem is folks get too consumed by the perks and the benefits that come with bearing your fruit for the population, the things that come with being good at what you're doing. You too worried about that part of it versus actually enjoying what you how can I say this? If you don't have it in your mind already that no matter what is going on around you, you're going to do what you enjoy doing, regardless if it's a pass or a fail. You've already lost the war. It's a mind game. The way that society has designed it and set it up, the algorithm is what dictates whether or not your gift is worthy of being plastered all over billboards. The algorithm decides whether or not you're good. The algorithm decides whether or not you're a household brand or you're a big name. The algorithm decides whether or not people look at you as someone worthy of being held to a certain standard. And you have to remove that entire logic from your head. The algorithm is crap, it's garbage. It's based on numbers. But if I've learned anything about the algorithm, is that I don't care if a person has 1 million followers or 1,000 followers. There's pros and cons on both sides of that spectrum. And the ones that have the strongest foundations are usually the ones that are in a smaller conglomerate of people who actually connect with the other person, because the content that they gravitate towards is relatable. Not only is it relatable, but they know that it's real and it's from a good place versus other people who have the same gifts, but they don't really care about you at all. You got to do what you want to do because you want to do it, because you love it. You wake up and want to do it. You go to sleep and you want to do it. You're not worried about whether or not a person doubts you or talks or tries to speak negatively into your life. You don't worry about that. You just keep doing what you doing.
Something you said about algorithms kind of made me chuckle a little bit because algorithms are based on statistics. And statistics are nothing more than an understanding of what has already happened. It's based on the past. And what people like to do is they like to take the past results and use that to predict future behavior. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Most times it doesn't. But there's an illusion that exists that statistical analysis is useful for predicting future behavior because the belief is that behavior is predictable. Well, human beings are probably the most dynamic creature on earth. And we will do what we want to do when we want to do it, regardless of what the statistics say. If Melvin, if you're the kind of person who you have been doing a podcast for 3 to 5 days a week, you are always on at the exact same time, with the exact same format, talking about different things, but you're reliable in that way. Statistics would say that you're going to continue doing that, and you'll continue doing that for as long as it believes that you will. Here's the thing: if something happens, or if you suddenly lose interest in what you're doing or no longer feels right, regardless of what the statistics say, you're not going to do it anymore. And you will have defied the statistical analysis because you have had a dynamic shift in your thinking. And this is something that people really need to understand is that the algorithm, as you say, is nothing more than a false sense of security, a false sense of assurance that tries to lull people in the belief that they will always do what they've always done because they've always done it. And it's just, it doesn't have to be true. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. Because, like I said, human beings are the most dynamic creature on earth. We have no set pattern. We decide the pattern we're going to set, and then we change it on a whim. And that is awesome. The ability that we can do that should be celebrated, and it should be encouraged within a an acceptable barrier. But for the most part, if a person is going to do something, they're going to do something because they want to do it. Now, getting back to the whole idea of hidden potential, if what you want to do is something that is an urge, it is a calling, it is something that you really want to express, whether or not other people approve of it or not, should never stop a person from expressing it. Here's why. Because what you're expressing may not have been thought of before, but it could be needed. Or it could spark another person's creative process or another person's imagination, another person's drive to inspire them to do something as well. And the dynamic of inspiration, the dynamic of human potential that exists is to add to the continuation and to the advancement of the human condition. And the more that we lean into it, the more likely we are to have a pleasant experience. And the converse is also true. The more we shy away from it, the more um, the less growth we're going to experience because we don't have those different experiences to draw from, or those different people who have these potentials are not being expressed. So we don't have any other any way of knowing what else is possible, which is a shame. It's much more important to be able to express yourself because we are a species that thrives on ingenuity, that thrives on new experiences. We require them in order to be able to continue to advance. We don't know what we don't know until we come in front of it. And once we come in front of it, then we can understand how we can make it known. And it's that hidden potential that people have. It's that thing that's just in left field that people don't really think of. That when it comes to the fore, it's like, oh wow, I never considered that. That's amazing. I wonder what I can do with that, and I wonder what else I'm capable of. It's I cannot express how important it is to be able to not only celebrate people's potential to do something different, but to encourage it at all costs.
It would be nice if everybody, was a cheerleader, or, they had one of those baseball thumbs up, every time you went to the stage, or you did a painting, or wrote something pretty exquisite. That would be lovely. But we are sporadic people. We our moods vary, our attention spans vary. One day you might like crime TV, the next day you might want to just watch talk shows, or you might just want to sit and read. It really just depends on your mood. So as fickle as we are, that should be another reason why you stay your own course. Because when it's all said, the ones that's going to be there are going to be there regardless. Because what you have created was designed to reach that specific audience, and nothing can change that. But if you don't do the things that you need to do for yourself, then you're doing a disservice to you and the people that you were meant to touch. Everybody else, they're going to drift and they're going to wander off to wherever they gravitate towards. But your tribe is your tribe, and it's designed that way for a reason. I don't think, and there's some people who are multifaceted, and they can be here and be present there, and they can tap in multiple places. But there's some people who are just diehard, and they gravitate to one place and they stay there. But for you, you really have to be comfortable in yourself. You have to be confident in yourself. You have to trust yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to believe. And you have to want it. You have to have that fire in you. And that's something that can't nobody else give you. And if they can easily take that from you, you should reevaluate why you are doing what you're doing. Because really nobody should be able to take your passion from you. It should never be as simple as someone giving you a thumbs down or just not noticing your work for you to say, "Oh, that's it. I give up. I guess this ain't for me." It should never be that simple, ever. You got to know that you know, and you got to be relentless and you got to be consistent. You don't have nobody to lift you up. Do it yourself. Reach out to successful people. Reach out to people that you look up to or you admire, that might be able to give you some steps in the right direction. Remove yourself from that circle that's not really helping you. Get more involved with yourself. Another thing that I would suggest too is stop comparing your gifts with everybody else's. Your formula is not my formula or his formula. The things that you have to do, you can't replicate that. I notice a lot of people copy and paste other people's style, their delivery, their format, their dialogue, their audio and visual setups, their dress code, their personality. A lot of people use that system. And yeah, it works for a while, but eventually it's going to wear off. And then who's going to be left standing? The originator. Because you can't copy original.
But you can model. And that's the important piece. One of the greatest things that we have as an asset is the ability to look at what success looks like and then model it. It doesn't make sense to copy it because you're not being true to yourself, and you're insulting the originator and you as well as your audience. But if you take what is successful and you say, what can I use that is still going to be true to me and model the elements of success that will duplicate for me what has already been done, that's a different story. If you model what success looks like and use your own um your own style, then you make it your own, and that gets celebrated. People who are, like you said, people who are going to be looking for what you have to offer, the audience that is going to resonate with you is going to find and appreciate what you have, and they're going to want more of it from you because you are authentic.
And that's just not. I'm not even just talking about like entertainment purposes and things of that nature. I mean, I'm talking about being a conversationalist, serving people food at the homeless shelter, uh, being a better parent or a better sibling, being a healer in whatever uh, position of career choice that you go towards. It could be a number of things. It doesn't have to necessarily mean that you on stage singing and tap dancing or nothing like that. But it's your signature. It's your last name. It's your identity. Your hidden gift is probably something that you use all the time and you really didn't even realize that that was your thing. And it could be the simplest thing ever too. You could just be a great listener. You could be very good at making someone laugh. Maybe you're a comedian, maybe you just know how to alleviate hostile situations. Maybe you're good at work environments. You know how to disengage certain things that happens within the staff. It could be a number of things that, but you would probably never think that is a real talent because it seems so minuscule when you're used to using it all the time. So I would suggest highly maybe take a pen and a piece of paper and write down things that you enjoy doing. All of them, not just the main things that we always like to list off. I'm talking about even the most simple of things. Just write it all down and really ask yourself, what do I really enjoy out of all of these the most? You'd probably be surprised at which one you go with.
And if you can't seem to find something, it's important to be, or if you don't know what it is that you're good at, if you don't know what it is you're passionate about, the most important thing that you can be is curious. Be willing to find out what that is. And um, Melvin, you talked about it before. Interview people or talk to other people. Get some sort of spark that's there, either self-generated or discovered through the interaction with others. And once you find that spark, be willing to cultivate it, fan that flame until it becomes a raging passion, and then utilize it, share it, disseminate it, diffuse it through every part of your life so that it touches others wherever they might be, those who will appreciate it. But the first part is being adventurous and creative, or sorry, adventurous and, curious. The idea of I don't know what I'm good at. For the longest time, um, personal experience. For the longest time, when I was growing up, I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. I was messed up from the floor up. I had no idea what I was going to be good at, what I wanted to do, what my role was. Nothing. I felt like a blank canvas with absolutely no purpose. A ship without a rudder, just lost at sea. And it took me quite a bit of time of reading different books, talking to different people, interviewing, just and trying different things, experimenting, figuring out what didn't work, what didn't feel right, before I really landed on the thing that felt like, yes, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I would never have found that if I wasn't willing to be curious, if I wasn't willing to just put myself out there and try something. The most um the worst thing that a person can do for themselves is believe that they have no worth and do nothing about it. It is the greatest crime that a person can commit to themselves, because there, I guarantee there is something. It may not be apparent at first, but there is something that really grabs your attention, that gets you excited. Even if it's a low amount of excitement at first, there's something. Pay attention to it. Figure out what it is, investigate the hell out of it, and be willing to go as far as necessary to figure out what that is. Because that thing that you become curious about, you may find that you become absolutely obsessed over and becomes the thing that you emulate in your own way.
I like that a lot. Something that I've myself had to scramble around with a lot too, going from one place to another. Poetry, short stories, interviews, drawing, singing was not in my destiny. Singing and dancing was not on the menu for me. But what I found out was me just experimenting with different things. I got to meet a lot of different people. I got to see what works and what doesn't work. And still, when it's all said and done, I still enjoy doing it. That I think that was the ultimate message for me. I still enjoy doing it. It didn't really make a difference whether or not it took me to a certain level or not. I still just had fun with it. And that's the whole point, to have fun with it. As long as you have fun with it, you can't go wrong. As long as you enjoy it, you can't go wrong. You said a lot there, especially in terms of just trying to figure out what it is that you might be good at. You Because what you don't want to end up in a space where you stuck just doing things just to be doing them. So I would look a little deeper into that. Maybe ask whether or not I'm doing things that I enjoy doing, or be focused a little bit more on doing the things that you enjoy doing, or maybe figure out what it is that you do enjoy doing. Whatever the case may be, do it. Then don't hesitate.
One thing that Dr. Wayne Dyer said before he passed away, he said many things. He was a very wonderful speaker, and spiritual investigator. Just loved life. He was a lover of life. And one thing that he said was the worst thing that can happen for people is that they die with the music still inside them. And it's important to find out what that music is. That's a metaphor of finding out your passion, the thing that really makes you alive, the thing that drives you, makes you want to get up in the morning, the thing that really excites you and fills you with purpose. Figure out what that is, and then share it. Because the second worst thing that can happen is that you don't give yourself the time to figure out what it is that you're passionate about, what your purpose is. The single worst thing is to figure it out and not share it. To figure it out, to keep it locked inside. That's the thing that will cause the most regret and the most heartache, the most emotional pain is knowing that there is something inside you that is great and refusing to share it with others because it's no good to you kept to yourself. The magic in whatever it is that you are whatever it is that you are good at, whatever it is that you do, the key thing that makes it great, that makes it meaningful, is sharing it with others. And that is really where the magic is.
The moments, the memories, the smiles, the laughs, the cries, the shared anger, the hype moments where you both just kind of agree on certain things and you both are on this in this in sync moment, or you just have this passionate disagreement over something, whatever it is, embrace it. We had a we did a live last Friday about our Mount Rushmore comedians, and I chopped up the clip. I put one of them on Facebook, and somebody responded to the comment, and I had to explain to one of the guests that was on the stream that people can easily misinterpret. You know, this is a minute clip. You're not going to get the full scope of what we were talking about in 1 minute. So a lot of times you're going to have folks that's going to have different opinions. That's okay. That's what this is for. That's what it's about. Everybody is not going to agree. And I handled the conversation. It was not what he made it out to look like it was. But I say that to say you're going to get a lot of negative feedback and you're going to get some positive feedback. Some days might be rougher than others. That doesn't dictate or invalidate whether or not you are good or not good. The best thing that you can do is keep on walking and just keep on doing what you're doing and not be too concerned about everything else that's going on around you. That has nothing to do with you. You're going to draw in what you need to draw in because of who you are. Just being who you are is enough. It
I'm
always
gonna
has been enough.
I'm gonna reframe that for you because I I I I take issue when people say that there is positive feedback and there is negative feedback. There's just feedback. You're going to get feedback. And it's important to take it just that. It is just feedback. It is an opinion. And everyone has an opinion. And that's fine. The the most important thing to take away from whatever anybody says is the lessons that you can learn from that feedback. The lessons or the tools that can be gained, the experience and how it can be improved upon. Someone says, "Well, I don't like you. I think you're a piece of shit." Okay, what about that? What about me? Do you think is most horrible? Okay, great. That's something I can work on. Thank you so much. I think that the message you have is absolutely amazing. I love it. What about my message that you love the most? Fantastic. I'll make sure to do more of that. It's just feedback. That's all that it is. It is just someone letting you know how they took what you gave. And if someone says, "Well, I think you're a piece of shit because I don't like it." Okay, thank you very much. I don't need to speak to you. because there are plenty of other people that really appreciate what I have to say, the way I have to say it, and I'm not going to change a thing. I appreciate the fact that you don't like it. You don't have to listen to it. And I don't have to direct my message towards you. Have a wonderful day. It is just feedback. That's all that it is. It is information that you're getting based on the way that other people receive you, and then what they give back after receiving that. It's data. As long as you see it as that, as long as you just see it as data, you really can't be offended because you realize that it's just one perspective. If it aligns with you, great. If you want it to align with you, okay. If it doesn't align with you, fine. Understand what that feedback means and address it accordingly. React and respond accordingly. But remember that not all feedback is created equal. There's going to be some feedback that you just don't want to, that you should not listen to because it does not do any good. Great. Pay attention to the things that will benefit you and benefit your ability to move forward.
Section 8 in the building. Salutes to you, brother. Yeah. I don't know why I say, well, I don't know why I say negative and positive, because reality is it is just feedback. It's just the opinions of other people on how they feel at the moment. We really can't measure why or what. All you can do is kind of take the information that's given to you and go in the direction that's going to be best for you. And I'm glad you said it the way you did, because I actually apply that to myself every day, on and off the job. You don't like me, makes it easier for me to stay away. You're not really in favor of a lot of what I do. Okay, that's one less person I have to worry about. It really is all in how you take it or how you perceive it. So worry about yourself, and just continue to surround yourself with the people that are really trying to lift you up instead of tear you down. It don't make them bad people. They're just not your people.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay.
Yeah, it really is. You shouldn't. I wouldn't lose no sleep over it. I wouldn't get discouraged over it. I wouldn't feel defeated over it. It just is what it is. Everybody is not for everyone. Which I mean, go back to what I said earlier. But if you had any final thoughts or final words for anyone who is in this position, I give you the floor. Whatever it is that you want to say to them before we close out.
Sure. For anyone who's listening, either live or as a recording, whether it be on the Assembly of Excellence, my channel, or wherever else it's being streamed to, the one thing I want you to know is that there is something great about you. And all that you need to do is have the willingness and the courage to find out what that is. Risk making mistakes, because that's how you learn. Risk failing, because you're going to fail forward. As long as you constantly learn, you can't really fail. All you do is understand what didn't work that time, what you weren't passionate about in that moment, or maybe at all. The things that You will find out more about what you don't like and what you don't want before you find out what you do like and what you do want. And that's all good. It's all data. Take it in. Make note of it. Understand that yeah, this is not for me, but what else could be? Because just because I guarantee you will not be able to have all experiences all in all instances your entire life. There's way too many experiences than one life can handle. So there is going to be way more opportunity than you believe. Just because something didn't work out doesn't mean that all things aren't going to work out. It doesn't make any sense. Take the time to figure out what will work and have the assumption that something will. And it will.
Pursue your gifts. Pray on it. Speak it into existence. Surround yourself with positive people who give you real feedback, not the ones that's going to lie to you and just tell you whatever you want to hear. I'm talking about the ones that's going to probably say something that's going to piss you off because they're telling the truth. Those are the people that you need to be listening to. And take a mental note of the things that you have done over your life and what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy, and focus on that. Maybe ask some of your closest your friends and loved ones, what they thought about some of the things that you did. They can tell you better than you can sometimes about your gifts. You never really know where it's going to come from. But the point is, if it's in you, it's there for a reason. I want to thank you, brother, for pulling up tonight, man. As always, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be able to have these conversations. Thank you for your time, for your energy, for your wisdom. Thank you to everybody in the room for pulling up and sharing this experience. I hope you got something out of tonight's conversation. If you have any questions, comments, or any thoughts, leave them down in the comment section below, or you know how to contact. All of the information is there. If you need to reach my brother here, we can set something up and make that happen as well. But I want to say thank you again. Um, Good night to everyone. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you have a blessed evening, and we will be returning here very soon. I don't know what days yet, but I'm setting something up for Saturday. As far as the rest of the week, I'm playing it by ear, so just be on the lookout.
Sounds good. As always, it's a pleasure being on here, and I appreciate
Th-
always being welcomed back.
This is Assembly of Excellence saying good night, God bless, and see you soon.